This week's Torah portion, Parashat Vayechi, Jacob is about to pass on. Before he does, he makes his son Joseph swear that he will not bury him in Egypt. The commentaries explain that the reason why Jacob did not want to be buried in Egypt was because hundreds of years later, God was supposed to bring the 10 plagues on the Egyptians to free the Jewish people. And if Jacob was buried in the land of Egypt, God would not be able to bring down the 10 plagues. The question is, why not? After all, the 10 plagues, they were a pivotal point in Judaism. Every single Seder of Pesach, every single year, we go through the 10 plagues, we reenact them, and we thank God for bringing those 10 plagues, not only to glorify His name, but through glorifying His name, to free us from the bondage and slavery of Egypt. Furthermore, every Friday night during Kiddush, we say Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim. The Kiddush is a remembrance for God's exodus of the Jewish people from Egypt. If it's so important to the Jewish people, why would something, a mere fact that a tzaddik, yes, he was a righteous man, but because he was buried in the land of Egypt, then God would not be able to bring down the 10 plagues. It would serve as a deterrent. It would be an impossibility for the 10 plagues to take place. If we understand who Jacob was, how he lived his life, then maybe we can understand why these two items cannot coincide. First off, Jacob was the Bechir Shebavos. He was the chosen forefather. His image is actually etched in the Kisei HaKavod, in the throne of glory that God sits on. Jacob lived a life of troubles and trials and tribulation. It was very hard for him. Through the beginning with Esav, and then going further with that, he's being tricked by Lavan, and he's given the wrong wife. And until after that, he finally, when he thinks he's going to be able to sit Bishalva in peace, that's when Joseph is taken away from him and sold to Egypt and thought to be dead. Why wouldn't God just say, hey, listen, just be buried here. It's okay. The answer is because Jacob, the way he lived his life, he understood that everything in nature is here for us. That nature serves us as a people and us as individuals. And if we connect with that pivotal point, that everything isn't just here and we have rain and elements and wind and the galaxies and cosmos and wild beasts and domestic animals, everything in the world is here specifically for us human beings. It's here for us to enjoy, it's here for us to achieve a greater purpose, and it's here for us to create that connection and bond with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashem, with God. Because Jacob personified this and he understood this at an extremely high level, God couldn't then bring down 10 plagues, which a lot of them did originate from the earth, if the Jacob, the tzaddik, the righteous man, was buried in that same earth. The dam, the blood, the tzvardeya, the frogs, the kinim, the lice, all this came up from the ground, from the Nile, and that's where Jacob was buried, out of honor and respect for Jacob, the one who was one with nature in the sense that he had a deep understanding of what the world was all about. Hashem couldn't possibly bring the 10 plagues down on that same land. It's an amazing thing what God would or would not do just for one little person. Well, he wasn't so little, but for as an individual to have such a power, it's an unbelievable thing. Let me tell you a little story just to bring out the point. I recently took a trip to New York with 25 college students. It was an educational Torah trip, and we had an amazing time. At the same time, we learned a lot from many lectures from rebbitzins and rabbis who inspired everybody. At the end of the trip, we had a closing ceremony, and everyone was going around the table, telling a little bit about their trip, what they felt was most inspiring. There was one girl who said that for the first time, she had opened a siddur, opened a prayer book, together with somebody else, closed herself in a room, and just prayed straight to God. And it was an unbelievable experience for her. It was unbelievable to the point when she came out, she had a shine on her face. And she said she felt God's presence there in such a tangible way, like she never felt before. It was unbelievable. It was an amazing feeling. What was it that she felt? I believe she felt this connection that Jacob had. That not everything is just on a superficial value, so we just look at it at surface face value. Rather, every surface, if you just scratch a little bit away, you'll see it has a deeper meaning. Something like nature, we're so easy just by day, just keep on being sucked into this whirlwind of events that we called a day. That is simply God's hand that we have to look for. It's kind of like if I would ask you right now, do you hear the music? You would think I'm crazy. But at the same time, if you would set down a radio and turn it on, the frequency would catch the music and music would start playing. That's what has happening in our lives. Every single day, God touches us. And every single day, God's hand is in our daily lives. It's up to us to turn to the right frequency and to see it. This girl saw it. Jacob personified it. And it's up to us to do the same. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Daniel Ben Susan, and you're watching ChaiSocial.com.